What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at EPL Season 19 playoffs. Let's look at my team for Group C and D first. I did very well, top 3%. I picked, I would say, some of the correct players for Navi and Mouse, with Shui and Ime maybe being the two best picks to have. Brolan doing very well for himself, Wonderful being decent. JT doing like what I would expect from him, maybe even a bit more, but it's not enough for like a top 1%. There were some other somewhat cheap options who did a bit better. Like this team ended up being the best because a lot of the mouse players ended up doing well. Bit was better than Wonderful in the end, and then Ins was really good in these groups. But yeah, so top 3%. I was top 2% before the last game between Navi and Complexity, but with Complexity winning, with some of the points going the other way. I can actually check around 152. I think around 150 ranks should be top 1%. So like 655-ish would have been enough. We were like 21 points off. It's still a slightly higher amount of time away from that. I'm less annoyed by this than when I think it was at the major in one of the stages. I was like a couple points away from top 1%. I was top 2%. So I'm more happy with this. 18 points in the overall leaderboard. That brings us up to 129, or like I think 120 in if you look at who else is tied at that point total. So there's still a chance, I would say, to get to that top 10. I need to just get, as long as there's enough events at least, to make up the difference. But I need to get like top 5%-ish results from the rest. I would say maybe a top 1% in there as well. It's maybe unlikely, but who knows? Might happen. Let's try for it at least. This bracket is... So first of all, I hate this kind of format where we have like half the teams from the groups make it into this big-ass single elimination bracket where some of the teams are going to play so late and there's so many games to play. I hate this. I don't understand why we can't just like not have a last chance stage, just cut it off away, and then only have two teams make it through each group. So like Astralis would make it through here, 3D Max would play the winner of Eternal Fire Phase, and then the winner of that game would also get through. And then you would pair based on that, who won the upper finals and who won the lower finals. And then you have 8 teams in playoffs, and then you play single elimination playoffs, and that's it. This kind of stuff, like, I just don't understand. I think it's bad enough when there's like no playoffs round, right? One here basically, so like one team from each group or so gets here. It was bad enough then. It's like, why, if the majors do it in a way where there's just top 8 playoffs and that's it, why can't these events? I don't get it. It's bad for viewer like experience, and I think it's also bad for fantasy because I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Like, it makes it so impossible to predict much. Because like Mouse, Complexity, Astralis, and Vitality are like some of the best teams you could go for. Maybe Navi as well, FaZe as well, G2 as well. But just the way the bracket's constructed makes a lot of them difficult to pick. Especially a team like Mouse. I would love to pick Mouse, but the problem is that they get only padding points here, and if I double up on that, I don't feel very comfortable with that being like a potential top percent lineup, because Mouse would literally, I think, have to win the event to make up the points lost from not playing these rounds. So naturally then I'm looking at like playoffs round 1 and maybe playoffs round 2 teams. Playoffs round 2 teams I'm not that convinced by, like 3D Max. I'll go over how the group stage results went and why I think I'm going for the teams that I'm going for. But 3D Max is the obvious outlier here in the playoffs, I would say. I at least one of the biggest outliers in terms of like what level we've seen from them before the major. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them as very strong. Mongols is a decent team. They beat teams like G2 to make it here. Then they lost to, I believe, Vitality in the upper finals. I really respect Mongols, and I think they could definitely win against VP or Gamer Legion. They could even win against Complexity and make it here. I don't think they've got what it takes to beat a team like Mouse, though. But yeah, I respect the Mongols, but I don't see them as a potential pick. Liquid, I guess you're pretty happy to see them in playoffs again at this stage. I don't think they're a pick for me, because even though like BetBoom or FlyQuest, they definitely could farm, I think Astralis have been showing a strong enough form that I wouldn't trust for them to be there yet to challenge a team like Astralis right now. Then Navi is the obvious best team in the playoffs round 2. They lost to Complexity yesterday late in the evening, but it was a pretty tight game. I think the last map, it looked like they got super tired towards the end there, just based off what I was watching. I really rate them, of course, they're the major winners, but it's a hard group of teams to play against here. I'll first go off each of the groups and the results, kind of, and I will tell you who I'm gonna categorize teams that made it through as either fluke teams or non-fluke teams. Astralis, non-fluke. Beating Eternal Fire and FaZe 2-0. Top 8 major, top 2 major, and then destroying 3D Max, because of course, like, 3D Max being here. Astralis are looking insane right now, I think. And that makes them a potential pick for me, even though they're here, because they have pretty easy matchups. Whoever wins from these against them, I would say Astralis are quite favored, and then it becomes more difficult against whoever they play here. Most likely FaZe of Navi or Vitality. And it gets tough, but they still, I think, have potential to even win against those teams. 3D Max is a fluke team here. The fact that they play Saw first round, and then because VP lost the Fnatic, they get to just 2-0 Fnatic and make it through to this stage already is it's just stupid. And that makes teams like G2 way better as options. Because if G2 wins against Big, then they get to farm 3D Max. That's just how I see it. FaZe makes it through the lower finals. FaZe is a weird one. They only lost to Astralis. They beat VP convincingly. They beat Eternal Fire. They're a very strong team to pick, I think. Wait a second. FaZe only lost 2 games. Why do they play here? I mean, if they only lost 1 game. I actually thought FaZe had a worse run than they seem to have had. I thought FaZe lost 2 games. I think I've misunderstood how the seeding works here. So Gamer Legion, oh yeah. So this is only the okay. So this is only the losers of upper finals, and this is like winners of lower finals, which is weird because losers of upper finals only went 2-1, and winners of lower finals went 3-1. So essentially, you're throwing teams here into a worse positions. Like, this is the problem with a convoluted bracket like this. It doesn't make sense. Like, for 3D Max, because they won these 2 matches and then got destroyed by Astralis, to be higher here than FaZe Clan, who wins against Imperial, losing against Astralis, who are in insane form, and then wins against VP and Eternal Fire. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Makes FaZe an interesting option, but the problem is, again, the seeding makes them less appealing, because, like, FaZe is gonna destroy Monty probably, but then Navi and Vitality after that is gonna be, like, complete 50-50s in my eyes. But yeah, FaZe is not a fluke. No. And then VP making it through. I think it's hard to tell with them, because, like, they are a new team with Electronic. They should definitely beat VP every time. They should lose to FaZe but then making it up here, beating Fnatic quite easily here, and then Saw easily here. I think they've made up for it, and they're an option as well to pick if you want, because they also have a pretty easy way to get to semis at least, I would say. Complexity is decent on their day, but I would still favor VP against them. Group B, Vitality, I mean, they got a super easy draw. Sharks, BetBoom, the Mongols. I think they are not a fluke, but they haven't really shown anything either yet. Mongols is not a fluke, definitely. Beating Falcons and G2 on their way. Like, Falcons still have some firepower. G2 have a lot of firepower. I am impressed by them, even though they lose against Vitality, but who wouldn't? Like, a lot of teams could lose against Vitality. I'm impressed by them, not a fluke, but I don't think they're going to be a pickable team. Then we have lower finals, BetBoom. So BetBoom wins against M80, loses against Vitality, beats Falcons and M80. I think not a fluke, but also not a team I would pick. I think they're just decent. They could beat their first match. Oh yeah, I have bracket here. They could beat FlyQuest. They even maybe could beat Liquid, but I think Liquid is stronger than that. That's my thoughts on BetBoom. At last chance winners, G2, like, honestly, some of the worst CS. Like, beating Tyloo Shore, then losing to Mongols 2-0, losing to M80 2-1, and then, well, yeah, you win only 2-1 in a way against Falcons, although you did destroy them in 2 maps. And then barely winning against M80. Yes, like, they win in Ancient after, like, multiple overtimes. I don't know what to think about G2. They're looking so bad. Like, honestly, they're playing some horrible CS. But then they get the easiest bracket, like the easiest first matchups we got, who are Big and 3D Max. The biggest fluke in 3D Max to me, and then Big, who are also, I'm gonna talk about them later, but a slightly fluky team here. And that makes G2 an option. Like, even if they lose against Mouse here, you're probably getting a good amount of points from a player like m0NESY here. Makes them an option. Is it a good option or not? I don't know yet. But maybe. Yeah, that was Group B. Group C, Mouse, I mean, they just do the work. 6-0 in groups. They are so strong in group stages. We've seen this before. Absolutely destroyed them, and of course, that paid off for me in the group stage fantasy as well. Not a fluke. No. But the question is, can they now do this in a playoffs environment? They have a comparably easy first opponent here, but I don't even know. It's hard, because if you pick like Mouse and then G2 ends up winning here, it's gonna be hard. It might still be a Mouse lineup, just because I don't rate G2 very highly. I also don't rate VP very highly, or Complexity that highly. I think Mouse probably makes it to the finals here a lot of the time. I don't know. Might be them as well. Liquid beats Furia, easy. Beats Monty, easy. Slightly fluky, I think. Unfortunately for Liquid fans, I think there's a slight element of fluking here. Making it this tight against a team like Monty. Dropping a map against this Furia. Getting quite destroyed by Mouse, honestly. Like, even though this was a scoreline, I felt like Mouse was always pretty much in control. Yeah, unfortunately for Liquid fans, I think this is a bit of a fluke. And I would probably stay away from them in this. Then Gamer Legion beats ENCE, which is easy. Right now, they get destroyed by Mouse, which is expected. They beat Forze, they beat ENCE again, and they make it through. It's again a bit of a fluke. It's just Group C and D are pretty fucking easy. They are not hard. I always go here and try and go to the playoffs bracket, but... And then they play against VP here, which is like by far the hardest opponent they play against after Mouse. And I think VP is gonna just quite easily destroy them. So yeah, slightly fluky. And then last chance, Monty makes it through after, I can check the whole route. They beat Force, which is whatever. Lose to Liquid, lose to Ends, which is kind of not very good. Beat Force again, and then beat Furia. It's a fluke. Not really considering them. Also, they deservedly, after a fluke run, make it into the hardest side of the bracket by far. Like, they are never making it past probably any of these teams. Group D. Complexity, pretty legit run, to be honest. Like, Heroic is a decent team in my eyes still, even though they completely choked in this group, and also there's going to be changes in Heroic. I think that's somewhat fair as a result. And then beating Navi is, of course, a really good result for them. All in all, they played pretty decent Counter-Strike, and of course you beat Terra. Slightly more tight than I would have expected, though. But yeah, I think not a fluke, but I also wouldn't pick them for these groups. I think they probably beat, or they could beat the team that comes against them here, depending on if it's VP or not. Or even Mongols could do it. And then I think they just get destroyed by Mouse or maybe G2. Navi making it here. I mean, not the hardest line matchups here. Objectively, there's a slight element of fluking here. But, I mean, they won the major. They are one of the best teams in the world in my eyes still. FlyQuest have actually shown very good things here, and they made it through. And Big made it through in the end. So, maybe not that bad to make these slightly tighter. I mean, just destroying these and then only losing to Complexity in a pretty tight affair. Yeah, I think Navi is a very decent team, but I wouldn't pick them here just based off the way the bracket works. Like, let's think of it this way. Navi and FaZe, the difference is that Navi players get padding of 6 points here, and FaZe players get to destroy Monty. That's how it works. I think they're pretty 50-50. And that makes FaZe a very... Like, if they go head-to-head, they're pretty 50-50. But I think FaZe getting to farm Monty first is a pretty big edge. So if you want to go for the gamble on this lower side of the bracket, it's the FaZe angle to me. I do that all the time now. That's pity. Big. This is going to be a bit of a longer video because there's too many teams to talk about. I'm sorry, it's almost 20 minutes into the video and I haven't even looked at the players yet, but I think it's a very difficult fantasy, and that's the real reason why I'm doing it this much, looking at which teams can deserve to go through and which not. So skip ahead if you don't want to hear me rambling. Big 2-0 against Boss, expected. Losing against Navi is expected. Beating Pera, expected. And then beating Heroic is the only somewhat legitimate result for them, I guess. Or, like, I would say all of these other ones are expected or easy results. Losing to Pera, even one map, is a bit weird, but then making it up for it in the next one is quite nice. Rimbo being Stan, as always. I would say slightly fluky, but also I don't really see a world where you would ever pick Big here. If you really believe in the Big versus G2 upset, I do think they are gonna beat 3D Max, but then they're gonna lose against Mouse as well. And then last team to make it through here, FlyQuest. They lost to Navi, expected. Beat Boss, expected. Lost to Heroic. That's a bit bad, maybe, but it's a tight one. I would rather have seen them win here. Now they beat Pera and then they beat Nip. It's a bit of a fluke to make it through, to be honest, and just based on the fact that this group is so weak in general. Yeah, a bit of a fluke, and you wouldn't consider them here as well. So yeah, okay, based on this, who do I think is going to make it actually through the bracket? I think G2 wins here. I think G2 wins here. Then it's 50-50-ish. No, I mean, it's Mouse who is favored versus G2 for sure. G2 have played so poorly. on paper at least. There's always a chance that G2 step it up miraculously with the players they have, but Mouse is favored here. Let's not kid ourselves. Here, VP should win this, should win this, should win this, and should lose here against Mouse. And then Mouse makes it to the grand finals. Here, I don't care. I think honestly FlyQuest probably wins here. Ins has been so insane. Liquid probably wins here. Maybe FlyQuest wins, I don't know. Astralis should beat whoever they play here. Astralis, I don't know. I think FaZe wins this. It's a complete 50-50, man. All of these teams, I think, can beat each other and lose to each other just as likely. It's so close. I think whoever comes through here probably also beats Astralis here a lot of the time. Then they meet here. So I came into this video thinking like I had my lineup thought out to be something along these lines. So essentially gambling that G2 at least win this too. It's a pretty safe lineup in a way because you do expect G2 to win these games. And then for them to at least have a chance against Mouse, maybe even win. The more I think about it, the more I think that G2 is just playing so poorly that I don't want to pick G2 players and I'd rather go for the Mouse angle because Mouse has just been so solid. I do think they're gonna eventually make it through. It's a tough one because players are pretty expensive here. Roland was really decent in groups. I don't know why his price is this much lower than in groups. And then Shui's is so much higher. That's just weird. His price, I mean, it has to take into account that's from Pro League, right? I mean, Shui played very well here, but Roland with the price fall is a weird one to me. Dershin not going up in price, Chimpat going down in price, and then Torji going up in price as well. I don't know about these prices, they're kind of weird to me. I guess some results have just dropped out from the earlier parts of these guys. Like past 3 month sample or something like that. The more I think about it, I think it's Mouse and FaZe as the objective one, and then 1x VP. Or double VP, 1x Mouse, and double FaZe. Those are the options I'm probably going for here. We are missing out on the farming of 3D Max. I don't know. I don't have enough faith in G2, man. Like, honestly, it feels too bad. I think double FaZe, though, is pretty locked then. Because I was thinking about the about the Astralis, but I don't want to have too many players who start out in quarters. And I don't... the way I think about it is just FaZe has the highest potential here. FaZe in playoffs, getting a bit of confidence against Monty, wanting the payback versus Navi. Probably being just a better team than Vitality in my eyes. I think it is a FaZe clan angle here. I don't know. And they're not the most expensive players either. Like a Rain for 198, I think is very fair. I think it's probably a Rain angle as well, yeah. Rain and could be Rops, could be Frozen, I'm not sure. Depends a bit. I'll go Frozen for now. We can switch it around. I do want Norbert. I think Norbert's the #1 player I do want. I think for the matchups they have, it makes the most sense. I don't want to go Shui, man. That's the problem I have now, is that I don't respect Shui that much in this. We can't even go for here. Then it can't be Frozen here. And Brokey's more. I guess it's a Rops lineup then. Rain Rops. Norbert Game would be the cheapest out of these guys, and it would have to be a Shui. Go one. You can upgrade something here. If you go Shui, you can go for a Zertian or a Brolan. I mean, this is just a pretty easy lineup to go for. I don't know about Shui for 193. I guess they get padding, but still I'm not convinced. You could just go for like a Hooksie as a fill, like double VP if you don't want to go for mouse. Or even one of the other two guys. But I think in that case I'd rather just go like Rain, Frozen. See? Oh, and then we can make even more upgrades here. It would have to be VP. Can we still upgrade Hooksy here? No. What if we go Jame? See? I like 1k over next, so I'm not even sure if I want either of these guys. I think Hooksy is capable enough of farming these guys. Then there's the negative points. Like, it's so stupid. Full format. I think it is just a mouse player here as the last guy. Just makes too much sense. Damn, it is just a bit too expensive, man. And so are Frozen and Brokey. I don't want Carrigan. I'm not feeling Carrigan for this. Because it's too many difficult matchups even if FaZe win. Like, I don't think he's the player I want to rely on getting the stats for them. I think it's better to go for Rain and one of the 3 good guys and 3 good players. Brokey's a playoffs demon for sure. I would like to have him. It's just hard to get the money for a Shui then. 4k, there's no way of getting it with double VP. I do think VP is also like very fairly priced. I think that's one of the key things about them. I think they have some of the fairest prices for the bracket that they have. Whereas G2 is still like classies. And you could go, no, you can't go VP G2 because they're same side. You could go FaZe G2 with 1x VP. Then I do want Monesi, and then I do want Carrigan, and then I think Carrigan Rain against those opponents is too it's just not good enough. I guess I do rate Rops against better opponents quite highly. The difference is like against best opponents, I suppose Frozen is just the most consistent. Actually, Brokey steps up so much against good. Might have to be a like a Rain Brokey. Norbert James is not an option. Oh, 2 is so expensive for playoffs. But oh, you go. Wait, how expensive was Bro? Is Bro like 1.8? No, it's the same price as Shui. I think Bro is probably a better option than Shui though. On average, how has Bro been fragging in EPL so far? Not that great. I think he might still be a better option. He's also got the headshots. What if you go for him and Shui? Then we have 197. Is enough for Norbert. So a kind of mixed team could actually work. Not going 2-2 and 1 might actually be the angle. So like FaZe makes it here. So annoying to have this Alice. The individuals in this team are kind of there. I mean, of course, I'm floating too much money so far, but they're difficult. Fill we get. It might just be the Hooksy fill. 15 is so much to use though. Like, do I just not go Norbert then? Oh, I can't even go for anyone other than Norbert. Why is it so hard? Why can't I just have a second Norbert here? That's what I would do. Double Norbert. Just looking down here to see if there's anyone who might be worth it, but I don't think that's something I want to do. We're already like over half an hour through. I thought this was gonna be a quick video and then I eat something and that's that, but turns out that's not the case now. It's just hard. I usually, if you haven't noticed, I usually leave my videos quite late and then I think about the lineup during the week and trying to make myself a lineup. At least nowadays I do that with me doing quite well in the leaderboard. But of course tomorrow this starts quite early and I'm coming from work, home from work as the game starts, so I couldn't make a video tomorrow. So I essentially have to make it now, and this is just all of my thoughts about making this lineup. Like Rain, Robs. I don't think the difference between like a Robs and Broke is that insane that I can't even think about this. The fill options for 201k is like so weird. They're not even bad, or like for that is not it. I don't really want to upgrade. Why isn't Frozen 215, man? And I'm not even sure if Shu is better than like a Bro. Probably not with the rolls, honestly. Probably a Bro angle. I had this one. I had the one good G2 Norbert double Astralis draft that I didn't dislike. This is like hoping that G2 at least farm these two first opponents. But I'm not even convinced they're gonna do that. They were so bad against a team like M80. I'm just gonna stay away from them. It's just not worth my time doing that. I think Norbert's pretty much the only player that's almost locked into my team right now. I think I have to include Rain. I'm just gonna approach it like this. I think Rain is actually unskippable in this event. Playoffs Rain with that headshot percentage in a team that I think has... He's not unskippable with that bracket, but I think he's at least a good option. And then I do want Brokey. But I can't go double mouse after this. I can't go double VP and Shui with this. I think James is too much value. And then, is there someone I can pick into this for 189? Down here makes me... JT is somewhat of an option. Not really if you go double VP, right? I think Hooksy is a bit of an option. Then we're floating too much and we'd have to upgrade. But we can't upgrade Norbert. Yes, can we upgrade Norbert if we downgrade Brokey into props? 11 for a VP player for like a Fame. How do I feel about this? Rain and Robs, Jame and Fame. See, it's the Hooksy that I don't like. 182. But there's like... But he could farm here. But I don't know, he could also... rather have the padding from someone, but all the good... Like, all the cheapest options are like... JT is like, I guess... options, but it's not worth it. I don't like that lineup. I still want Norbert, man. I do want Norbert and Jame for those prices. And I do think maybe it's Carrigan. Maybe it is just Carrigan so we can fit some better players in. It's probably just Carrigan. It's a bit annoying because like Carrigan, Norbert, James, all under most picked, but then I guess I at least have like Brokey. 2 of 4. Could pick like a Jabby. Jabby's pretty interesting. Hasn't he also been like, I checked Staven's stats, but hasn't Jabby also been really good? Yes. This is like Blade Math. Jabby. This is no Blade Math. And Astralis get to play. I think this is just the lineup. I think I found it finally. I just need to have faith in Carrigan. Yeah. Okay. Finally. And this is why I have to think about these lineups so much. It's just, you just have to do it sometimes. There's just too many options, especially in an event like this. Finally, I found a lineup that I like. And it took ages, but at least I found it. So main op 48-42. That's probably not the best role for Brokey. I can assume there's like a... I mean, obviously, Amper's probably better than main op for James. It is. Yeah, we go for James. And this is 2350, which is not that great. Like, that Hunter is actually better. Is there something even better than Stat Hunter? Yes. The Fragger is better in terms of stats. Should go multi-fragger Brokey, that's fine. Probably use probably headshots. 44-37. Yes. That's a nice 5th player role. I love that. Norbert. Harrigan left. Like, Norbert is a decent support for sure. It's probably support for him. And then there's like Noob is an option. IGL is an option. Eco-friendly is probably the option though. Just the most consistent role. My thinking here being like, I don't like picking Noob, because if they have good performances, sometimes they get the 1.12 even though probably not happening here. But I'd rather have the eco-friendly, I think. And IGL, it's just, there's a very good chance of having some 2-1 games against those opponents. Okay, amount of games played in best case scenario. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Like, all of the boosters are pretty much gonna get used. Just use some of the best boosters you think are gonna trigger early. We don't have IGL, so no feeling. I don't know when to use this. KSD. Yes, James. Expected that to be the case. Probably James is gonna get that other role as well eventually. The feeling 22. Just go for some of the good roles, some of the best roles, like Avenger. This is one of the best ones for sure. Norbert. Maybe actually save that for a bit. Carry is a pretty decent one, but Brokey already has one. Quad is a good one. Let's go for Jabby Quad. Actually, Jabby, of course, doesn't play for a long time. I'll just add this later. Then maybe headshots I can throw on him already, because he should always be the one to have this role. Game has 54% flash assist success, so saver is pretty high. Assist, I guess we can go assist for an orbit here. Such a high trigger rate. Harrigan versus Monty should be this, no? I think it's this, yes. Roll also booster wise, I think it's good to have a Carrigan in your team in a way. I don't know. I'm actually tired after making this video. I was already tired after my work day, after cycling home. But happy to have a lineup that I actually feel comfortable with. Yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, please remember to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.